Russian propagandist and former Odessa City Council member Igor Dimitriev, who defected to Russia, openly acknowledged for the first time that there is a growing understanding among the country's highest echelons and the military that the war with Ukraine was a mistake. Ukrainian journalist and blogger Denis Kazansky drew attention to the propagandist's admission. When will this war end? We've become more aware of reality. Illusions and fantasies about liberation from oppression and reasons for the SVO, all of that has been washed away. All this nonsense, this grave mistake, must be closed down as quickly as possible, Dmitriev declared in one of his speeches. According to him, the realization of the war's failure and senselessness is gradually dawning even on those who were previously confident of victory and justified the Kremlin's actions. Even if we don't allow ourselves to speak frankly, we will understand perfectly well. It's time to end this, he emphasized. The Z-War correspondent's words resonated widely. For the first time, a member of the Z propaganda inner circle effectively acknowledged that the illusion of liberation had collapsed. According to him, a real, adequate perception of oneself in the world is coming to everyone, even to those accustomed to viewing events through television and fear of repression. This idea is reaching the management, added Dmitriev. All this does not exclude a sharp clash between Putin and Russia's highest echelons and military leadership. Recall, as Russia's economic situation worsens and Ukrainian defenses continue to hold, elite factions in Moscow are maneuvering for positions in an uncertain future. Their goal is twofold: to protect the profits and privileges gained during the war and to deflect blame for its mounting human and financial costs. President Vladimir Putin is concerned that the elite's disunity and anxiety about the country's future could undermine the cohesion of the Russian regime. To counteract this trend, the Kremlin has introduced unprecedented legal mechanisms for redistributing wealth under the banner of national security, from those suspected of even minimal disloyalty or Western ties to individuals who may be less competent but demonstrably supportive of Putin. This puts the elites in a Russian-style prisoner's dilemma, in which the safest strategy is to perform exaggerated loyalty while quietly undermining rivals to survive the conflict. When the war in Ukraine began, the Russian elite entered a state of shock. As the West imposed sanctions and travel bans, Russia's rich and politically connected citizens became convinced that their previous lives were over. Battlefield losses quickly piled up, and many deemed the invasion a catastrophic mistake. Roman Trotsenko, the former head of the country's largest shipbuilding company, told,
Imprisoned in the Louisiana State Penitentiary for nearly 30 years, Calvin Duncan spent decades fighting to obtain the court records needed to free himself and overturn his murder conviction. After being released from prison in 2011 and later having a judge annul his conviction, Duncan is seeking election as the clerk of criminal court records in New Orleans. "The reason why I'm running for clerk of court is because I don't never want to have what happened to me happen to nobody else," Duncan said. He says he hopes to become the custodian of criminal court documents to improve their preservation and accessibility in a city where troves of criminal case files ended up in a garbage dump earlier this year.
The reason why I'm running for clerk of court is because I don't never want what happened to me happen to nobody else. And I was ultimately arrested, tried for capital offense. The government position that was that I should be executed. However, the jury rejected the death penalty, and I was sentenced to spend the remainder of my life in prison. I told the truth on my case for 28 and some years. But this particular day, in order to get out of prison, the deal was you plead guilty or you risk this judge denying you again. So I took a deal. And I filed an application with the DA's office, with the court, and the district attorney and my lawyer, and they agreed to vacate my guilty plea. And they just didn't vacate it. They dismissed my indictment with prejudice.
In my opinion, and also the Attorney General's opinion, he is not exonerated. I merely stated the facts of his situation. He was convicted of murder and attempted armed robbery. That's a fact.
My questions are related to Putin, but I did want to discuss.
Sheriff's Office, the Public Defender's Office, the NOPD. All this information will be shared between the agencies. So Mr. Duncan has no experience with regard to running the clerk's office, and has openly admitted in forum after forum that he also doesn't have experience with anything with regard to the election process.
This is the one that I'm most proud of. Lewis and Clark, Portland, Oregon, JD. I don't want nobody to say, well, you're not qualified because you don't know the law. Well, I went to law school. Well, Calvin, you're not qualified because you never worked on cases. Well, I worked on hundreds of cases, thousands of cases without any resource, and we got it done. We didn't make excuses. Because I've seen and I've experienced firsthand when a clerk office does not function properly, what happens to people.